Hello again, beautiful artists, and welcome back to another episode of Paint Along with Skye. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Skye and I post beginning level acrylic painting tutorials here on YouTube every Saturday. So make sure to hit subscribe so you can join the fun and paint along, and don't forget to hit that bell icon to be notified when I post a new video. Alright, so this week the holidays are upon us. It's just a skip, hop, and a jump to Christmas, and for the most of us, we have our houses decorated for the holiday season right now, so I wanted to do a fun, a little kind of like Christmassy still life painting of a Christmas lantern with our decorated tree in the background. I have 4 brushes that I'm going to use for this painting. I have a large square brush, medium-sized sable brush, and then I have 2 small detail brushes. I have a kit that I recommend that comes with 4. Unfortunately, I squished my smallest brush. I left it face down in the water. Make sure to never do that. So we're using a different detail brush today, but you can check out the description box below to see the kit that I recommend along with everything else that you need to paint along. Gonna get these brushes in the water cup off the side of the screen here. And the colors that I'm going to start with for today's background step are really simple. I have some black and white, then I have a little bit of ultramarine blue and some phthalo green for my tree. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into it. All right, to get things started today, I'm gonna grab my second to smallest detail brush and I'm going to do a quick horizon line, which in this case is going to be the table that the lantern is gonna be sitting on. So we're gonna start with that. I'm gonna grab a light blue, so just some of my ultramarine with some white. I always add a little bit of water into the paint to help it go nice and smooth. And I'm going to start all the way over here, a little bit further up from the corner. And I want to end a little bit further down than halfway here on the other side. And it's okay if this first angle isn't exactly what you want to keep. It looks pretty good to me though. We want to have what looks like a curved table here, round table, and our lantern's gonna go right here. And then we have this space here for our tree. Going to retire that small brush. That was a quick step, not much there. And now we have our 2 spaces here to start with. So we're gonna have the background, which is going to be like a wall in your house. And in my imaginary house today, my wall is going to be a beautiful steely blue, which I'm going to mix up some blue, light blue here with white and a little bit of black. This is maybe a little bit darker than you would actually want like your house color on your wall, so at least I would. I like to have light colors. It's mostly white in my house, but this color here is going to be sort of like a steely blue in the evening, right? So a little bit darker, not full light. And I'm going to go across the whole top part here with up and down brush strokes and that steely blue color. And I want to fill that whole section in here with there being a little bit of stripiness, that whole top section, okay? A little bit more blue here. I'm gonna just be working with some shades of blue for our background. All right, just up and down here, a little bit of water in the paint. It's gonna soak into that canvas texture. And I'm covering my sketch line down here, but I'm gonna be filling that in with light blue in just a minute. So it's okay if we take a little bit of the darker blue into it. We don't have to get too technical around that sketch line. Okay. And just getting that all filled in blue, or really whatever color that you would like to have your imaginary house. Or maybe you're painting what color your house actually is. Let me know in the comments if your house walls are a fun color or if you just have white like me. All right, a little bit more paint there. And getting that all filled in. And just working from the background to the foreground. And also from the top down. All right, that's looking pretty good. I might go back and add a little bit of actually deliberate streakiness. Because in my imaginary house, maybe there's, you know, sort of like a treatment, like a wall treatment. Not just one solid blue. It just makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more going on. Okay, and a little bit of a lighter streakiness here and there too. That's looking pretty good to me. All right. I'm gonna grab my medium-sized brush now for the second part. It's gonna be this lower section here, and we're just gonna mix up a different light blue. This time I'm not gonna add any black. So this is just blue and white together, really simple. And I'm gonna go right over that sketch line, coming into the blue. And I think in some areas, I should have gone a little bit further down actually. So let me just grab my big brush again and just do a quick little touch up right along the edge there. Okay. And getting all the brush strokes in line, nice and consistent. Okay, make sure that's all the way as far down as it needs to go. Quick switcheroo there. Back to the medium-sized brush and my light blue. And just going across the whole canvas here. We're gonna have everything filled in with color. Once we're done with this step, no more white canvas. Making sure it's a nice curve. Depending on how you would be holding the camera in this composition, this curve would take a couple different angles, so don't worry too much about it being the exact angle that I have. That's okay. Call that some creative liberty. And just getting that all filled in. I can be kind of loose with today's background since the colors are so similar. There's really no going wrong. And I'm gonna pull that all the way up there. And maybe lighten it just a little bit. So I want to make sure that the colors are far enough apart from each other to where we can tell the difference. So a little bit of white just right on top. You don't even have to pre-mix it until you get it to where you want it tone-wise. Okay. That's looking pretty good. And we can always lighten it a little bit more if we need to later. Everything is just shades of blue for now. Lovely. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do our tree now as well, which is going to be right here. And this blue is still wet, and that's okay because once again, we're blending it with a color that is close by on the color wheel. So it's not blue, but green is right next door. So when we blend with our blue a little bit, it's not gonna be a big deal. And I'm gonna have my tree on a little bit of an angle, kind of like, boop, just a little bit of a side angle. And I'm gonna come from the top here, and that's probably gonna be too narrow. And just going to have little flicks of the wrist. This is that same medium-sized brush. I'm gonna work my way down from the top, pulling those little brush strokes out and building up my Christmas tree. Okay. Don't necessarily want to see the top of the tree. The tree's kind of in the background, not our focal point here. And right along the table, I'm going to do a quick line of green that's going along the table there, but then I'm going to bring those brush strokes up into that kind of tree feeling type of brush stroke instead. Okay, you want all those brush strokes looking consistent And this tree is going to come off the side of my canvas here. Getting some nice texture with my brush strokes, liking it. Okay, very cute. And I'm going to grab a little bit of black and make a slightly darker green. A little bit of white snuck in there too. Let's make it a little darker. Green with black, there we go. And I'm just doing some wet on wet blending here. Just like so. I got a little tiny bit into the table, but I'll correct that later. Just giving it a little bit of depth. Cute. Okay, and let's do a slightly lighter version as well of that green. Just a sneak of white in there. Not too light. And we'll just have a little bit of highlight. Also just creating some nice depth. Okay, so they're all coming down a little bit of an angle. I like to do a tree like that, very cute. And I'm just gonna grab this small, second to smallest detail brush really quick and just finesse the line of the table so that it looks perfect. And then I'm gonna step away and I'm gonna let this layer dry, and then we're gonna come back with the rest of the tutorial. So I'll see everyone in a few. Okay, welcome back, artists. We have a completely dry background and fresh colors on the piece of palette paper here. So again, I have some black and white and some ultramarine blue, and I also have some cadmium yellow. I rinsed my brushes and got some fresh water at break as well. Let's go ahead now and jump right back on into it. We're going to work on the background a little bit more with this tree back here, and we're gonna decorate our tree. Very fun. I'm gonna grab my second to smallest detail brush, so cute, and we get to decide how we want to decorate our tree. I'm kind of going for like a blue theme today, so I'm gonna make a light blue. I'm gonna start by doing some gorgeous light blue ornaments on my tree, and I'm gonna make them sort of like a medium size circle here. And you can just decorate your tree as you like. And I'm gonna start by just adding these light blue, medium-sized ones, but I'm gonna have a couple different kinds here. So I'm gonna leave some space, just like you were decorating a normal tree. So cute, I like it. All right, and I think I'll do some bright blue ones next, by just having a tiny bit of white in there, but mostly blue. And maybe these ones are a tiny bit larger. Okay, we gotta decorate our whole tree. Can't leave any gaps, of course. Very important. And let's see, I have one right there, looking good. And I want to have some yellow ones as well, looking so cute. Yellow ornaments, just mixing my white with some yellow, lots of white. All right, and just filling in the final kind of leftover areas that I have. Looking good. Okay. And just working my way all around there. And I'm also gonna add a really fun little touch with these. So I wanted to make it look like sort of the camera had the foreground in focus and the background kind of out of focus. And you get that sort of twinkly effect. And I'm going to take some of these ornaments and I'm going to do a quick little kind of shiny mark here with them. So I went from the top here with one little line, thin little line like so, and then from the bottom with a thin little line, and then coming out from the two sides, and those are going to be a little bit longer, and then we'll have shorter lines here in between like so. And you don't have to do that to all of them. I think this top one will look nice. And I'm gonna do it with some of my yellow ones. And then I'm also gonna do it with some of the light blue ones. Maybe they're lights. And I'm gonna grab just a little bit of that light blue. Make sure I don't have any drips. And just going from the top and from the bottom and out from the sides and in between. Very cute. You can do as many of these as you like and just kind of fill in what looks nice to you. Or you don't even really have to do any at all if you don't want to, but I think they look cute. And let's see, I think I want one. This really does remind me of decorating a tree. I want one right here. I'm gonna do a little shiny mark from there. I just didn't want it on any of the others. Okay, and that was a little light. A little too much white there. Okay, looking very cute. And I actually liked that light white. So I think I might add a little bit of a lighter blue to some of these guys as well. That looks so cute. And I'm also going to have some back of the brush action here. A little bit of light blue again. And this is gonna be like lights on the tree. So those were like the ornaments. And I'm also going to add some lights, add a little bit more blue there. And I like to use the back of my brush sometimes because it creates a nice texture. Nice little dot, like a little braille dot painting that you can feel. And all of the textures of your brush strokes come into play as well because they cast shadows on their own. So I like that it's just a little bit more textural. I think that it gives the painting more depth without even having to add a shadow. Okay, very cute. Oh my gosh, my tree looks so cute. And I think some yellow lights will be the final touch here. This imaginary Christmas tree is much bigger than my tree than I have in my house. So I get to go a little bit crazy here and add a whole bunch of imaginary decorations. I just have a tiny little tree, some closer to the tiniest tree tutorial that I had from a few weeks ago. Not quite Charlie Brown tree, but close. Okay, and actually, I changed my mind. I want to do some white as well. White lights, gotta have the tri-colored lights. I think that adds a nice little top highlight there too. Our lightest color, the white. Okay, I think my tree is looking festive enough. So we'll go ahead and let that be for now and move on to our lantern. Our lantern is going to just be done in black, and I'm going to use my tiniest brush, I think, for the little first shapes here, since we're going to be working pretty small. And I'm going to start at the top of the lantern so that I don't run out of space building from the bottom up. So I'm going to start where I want to end, and I'm going to be able to just kind of eyeball center this. And I'm going to start with just a little circle, just like so. Okay, and then I'm going to come down a little bit with a sort of triangular shape and start to flare out. And I'm wanting to try to match this as best as I can on either side. Okay, so they're parallel to each other, or they're a mirror of each other rather. And then I'm going to come swoop and over, little swoop, and over. Try my hardest to match that. And then I'm going to come straight down, all the way down onto my table. Great. As straight as I can, and then I'm going to go straight across, pulling my hand across, and we are going to be able to adjust this slightly if we need to. Okay, a little bit uneven, but that's okay. And just see how I can adjust things a little bit. That looks a little bit better. Okay. And then straight line down on this side as well. Okay, and again, we can sort of adjust this shape. So don't worry if it's not quite how you want it to look. We'll get there. Okay, and then we're gonna take the inside of this rectangle here. So I'm gonna go from the top here, do a straight line across, and then work my way down on either side, almost like creating like a little frame on the inside. This should be a little bit easier now that we have our outside shape finished. We're just going parallel now to those outside lines. Okay, looking good. And also going to do the base just by coming a little bit further out with another long rectangle right underneath, just like so. And we would see a little bit of this angle here. So I'm just gonna kind of go bloop, so that it sneaks from behind there. And don't worry about the center quite yet. Well, we're gonna do another rectangle here in just a minute. But for now, let's go ahead and switch brushes to that second to smallest again. And I'm gonna do my little candle light. So I'm gonna take this beautiful light yellow, and right in the center here, I'm gonna do what would be a candle. I'm gonna kind of work my way around with that light yellow. I wanna have a little bit of see-through background. And then I'm gonna grab some white and put that kind of right on top of that yellow. And I get this nice sort of glowy yellow and yellow white, almost like a rose, like a flower coming from the center and working its way out. A little bit of white and a little bit of fuzzy texture is fine. And we're filling this whole inner rectangle in. with light from our candle or whatever light source is inside here. It's not exactly clear. Could be a propane lamp as well, or a little mini campfire. And we're gonna fill our whole inside lantern in with that beautiful light. Very cute, love it. Okay, and I'm gonna keep that same brush in my hand, rinse it, and come back in to fill in some black now. So I wanna fill in this top section and the top little circle. And I'm gonna come and fill to that rectangle. And this is my opportunity to try to even out that shape as best as possible as I'm filling in. And that cute sort of, almost like a Moroccan shape. Curved lines there. Okay, looking good. I think that's fairly even. We're never going for photorealism in this class, so don't worry about a little bit of wonkiness. We never worry about a little bit of wonkiness. All right, and just trying to get a nice clean edge here on my shape. And going to do the same thing on the other side. Getting that all filled in with black and nice clean shape. Solid edges. Okay. And again, just trying to match it as best as I can with the other side, eyeballing it. When I'm teaching, I have to keep the canvas flat on the table, but you guys can move the art around and check to make sure that your shape is even. You can even look at your shape in a mirror, and it will show you an inverse of it. That's another good way to sort of finesse things if you need to. All right, and then this is gonna be like the bottom here of the lantern. Maybe that goes a little bit further back. A little bit thicker than the other sides. And then our front lowest rectangle here, creating the base. All right. Moving right along, we almost have a lantern. Getting that base shape. Okay, and a little bit of that side profile view. Okay, and same brush, still with black. Now I'm going to create this sort of inner door for our lantern. I'm gonna come down on either side, just creating like a rectangle within our rectangle. All four sides. Like so. All right. And a little bit thinner with this line. Feel free to use your smaller brush if you feel like it's going to give you a little bit more control. I like for things to go a little bit quicker, so I use this mid-sized brush. All right. Again, wanting a nice clean solid line as much as possible. our little front door for our lantern. I'm gonna rinse my brush really quick. I'm gonna grab a little bit of white and really fast, I'm gonna do just a little bit more white along the outside edges here, just to make sure that I have a little bit of color here in this see-through. So I can see a little bit of my table and background color, but I want it to mostly feel like that warm light, and then also perhaps like glass. So we have that sort of white feel there, and I'm gonna switch back to black now. I'm gonna do these little hinges on the side of the door. So these are like connecting the little lantern door. And then maybe this is the little latch. Okay, very cute, looking good. Take this a little bit further down, adjusting as need be. Okay, and yeah, I think a little bit further back here with the floor. That's looking pretty good. All right, and then I'm also going to have a loop around the top. It's going to start from the base of the little ball and come up and around. Okay, a little handle, so cute. And also, let's grab a little bit of a dark gray. And I'm gonna have a few brush strokes kind of around our lantern, just to give it some placement here on the table. Right around the front part of it as well. And we can also take some of this beautiful yellow color and add a tiny bit of reflection into our table as well. A little bit of glow, very cute. All right, and I'm gonna grab a little bit of white and take it around some of these areas for some highlight here in the lantern. So I'm gonna start by doing a horizontal line on the top part here, kind of highlighting that part. And then I have here like this front section, and I can go ahead and differentiate that. And here I'll have another little kind of horizontal line that's actually like the inside, but if you end up with just a few gray lines down there on the bottom, that'll sort of suggest the idea, what we're going for there. And some highlights accentuating the curves and perhaps accentuating the top there. If you go a little bit too heavy-handed with the white, you can just use some black to help you blend it right away. Thin it like so. Okay, and probably do a couple highlights here on our little hinges and front door area as well. All right, that's looking pretty good. Let's do our final little piece into the resistance on the inside, which is going to be the little tree. So these last little details really make it. I think I'm gonna grab some black, and we're gonna start by doing a straight line. We're gonna do a little bit different tree today, a little bit more realistic than how we did our tree in the background. But slightly different trees though. And so I started with that line like so. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come from the top here, and I'm very slowly gonna sort of add these little dots on top of each other. And I'm going to create a little triangle. That's gonna be our little top part of our tree. And then it's gonna be another triangle right underneath, very small, just a little dot, 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 pressure. Tapping it in there. And tapping your brush is going to get some nice sort of blobby shapes. And you want it to be a little bit random, so you don't want it to be a perfect triangle. Otherwise, we would just paint a perfect triangle. Little blobby dots coming from the top down, and the triangles are going to get larger as you work your way down. Okay, a little bit of extra texture here and there, blobbing our way down. And if you end up with 4, that's great, or 5, however many tiers you end up with is just fine. That's just going to be your unique tree. I think I'll do 5 today. Okay, and I think that gives it a nice little semi-realistic touch. I think a lot of my paintings are sort of in that realm between whimsy with a little bit more realism here and there. Okay, and just adding the kind of final touches on that, and making sure I come out far enough with this bottom one. All right, that's looking pretty cute. I like it. It's like a very pretty little decorative lantern. So festive. All right, and if your black is still wet, you might want to give it a second to dry, but I'm just going to see if I can do this with white. I'm going to grab some white and I'm going to do a quick star up top here in the center part of my lantern. I'm going to start with a little V. And just building a little star shape. Like so. And it is blending a little bit with my black. But this is like still the illuminated lantern. But a little peekaboo from the inside. So I'm starting with white to cover the black. But in just a second, I'm gonna fill this in with yellow. Okay, so just a cute little star shape like so. And if you need to, you can give it a second to dry. But I'm just trying to kind of place that color right on top of the wet paint and not overly blend things. But I can also finesse things later once it's completely dry. But that's our final little touch for our lantern. And if you want, you can add a few little final brush strokes of texture here on our table, just giving it a little bit more depth. Grabbed just like a slightly darker light blue there. And just did a couple lines sort of coming off into the background, coming from behind and moving towards the front. And just making it a little bit more interesting. And I think a nice little final touch will be to take a slightly darker blue, perhaps a slightly grayish blue. For the table, I just want to have a little bit of a darker shadow, refining things on this outside edge. So cute. If you painted along today, I would love to see your work. And I've created a Facebook group called the Art Club where you can join and post whatever you're painting, whether it be from painting along with me or just from your own imagination. We would love to have you over there. All right. I think for my final touch, I might add just a little bit of sort of glowiness feeling in the background by actually darkening some of the sides. I have my big brush again. This is just if you need it. A little bit more of a sort of a darker blue. And just kind of bringing a little bit more shadow to that side and perhaps over here by the tree and a little bit in between, just to give a little bit more glowiness kind of to the center area. But that is all the instruction that I have for us this week. So let me know what you thought of today's painting in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see you over in the art club as well to share your art, so make sure to join us over there. And that is all I have for us. So until next time, happy holidays and stay creative.